Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
One second, I'm having some difficulties here.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Thank you. Thanks for the beautiful chanting. We'll continue reading from this wonderful book called Living Name by His Holiness Sachinandana Swami. We are on the second chapter called Sambandha. Let's move on. Today's section titled as The Real Name versus the Shadow Name. Śrīla Bhaktivinoda Thakur has written 2 books on chanting, Sri Harinama Chintamani and the sequel Bhajana Rahasya. He says in the 3rd chapter of Sri Harinama Chintamani that we need to chant in the awareness of our relationship with Krishna. If we don't do this, then we will only ever obtain a shadow of the holy name, not the real name. Yavat sambandha jnana tira nahi haya tavat anarte Nāma-ābhāsare ashraya. As long as someone does not understand his relationship with Krishna, the individual soul will take shelter of Nāma-ābhāsa, the shadow of the holy name. See Harinama Chintamani 3.27. There is a difference between the real name and its shadow, just as there is a difference between an actual tasty meal on a plate and a projected image of one. We can't actually eat from the ladder. It is a shadow of the real thing leaving us hungry, and as a result, forcing us to go elsewhere to eat something real. It is the same with chanting. If we chant the shadow of the holy name, that is to chant without any conscious awareness of our relationship with Krishna, we also remain spiritually hungry. And as a result, we are drawn to taste the pleasures of the material world. Without the spirit of the name, we are forced to seek out material satisfaction and make unconscious compromises to our Krishna consciousness. The tragedy is that this is often done unconsciously, and we don't even know what we are really doing or what we are really missing. So, very nice point. Why we are getting attracted to the material satisfactions and desires is just simply, even though we are devotees, it's just simply because we are hungry, spiritually hungry. But then, since we are not establishing the relationship, it becomes a shadow and then we are running out to take that, satisfy the hunger by going elsewhere. The problem is, as Maharaj says, the tragedy is that this is often done unconsciously, and we don't even know what we are really doing and what we are really missing. That's the sad part. Continuing, you might ask, why can't we just remain neutral and go on chanting the name of Krishna distractedly without becoming materially motivated? Why can't we just remain neutral and go on chanting the name of Krishna distractedly without becoming materially motivated? The constitutional nature of the soul is to constantly gravitate towards enjoyment. We need enjoyment like we need water. Therefore, if we don't get spiritual enjoyment, we have no other choice but to look for short-term illusory material enjoyment. Hence, it is absolutely essential to get spiritually nourished. If we don't, our hearts will feel immediately spiritually weak. This is an important signal we often miss and must urgently pay attention. So, hope you all noted this particular point. There is a small hint has been given here, which is a life-changing or turning point for devotees. We have to notice that signal, the important signal. What is it? It is absolutely essential to get spiritually nourished. If we don't, our heart will feel immediately spiritually weak. The weakness we feel is just because of this reason. Therefore, this is an important signal we often miss and must urgently pay attention to it. Urgently pay attention to it. Therefore, as long as one does not learn from a bona fide spiritual master about the true relationship that exists between oneself and the Supreme Lord, he or she remains consigned to the anartha of ignorance. At a certain point in my life, this is Maharaj saying, I stopped all I was doing to look back on the years behind. I was deeply disappointed because I could see that I had not made full use of the teachings of Krishna consciousness. I still had most of the symptoms of material consciousness. I needed to change something or felt I would die of frustration. It was then that I began a sincere inquiry into why my spiritual progress had come to a halt and how I could truly advance from where I was. I asked the question, what is missing in my life? I asked the question, what is missing in my life? After arduous and soul searching for maybe 3 or 4 years, one dear Vaishnava who was very close to Srila Prabhupada reminded me in a moving conversation of the importance of chanting the holy name properly. He challenged me, is that not what your spiritual master had told you? Why have you forgotten? These words came from the mouth of a man who chanted 64 rounds a day. There was tremendous force behind them. I thought to myself, he really does know what he's talking about. So I received his words deeply and felt a new awakening to the teachings of my spiritual master. Then I knew what I had to do. I began anew my journey with the holy name and discovered many things I had only heard of before. Perhaps the most important realization was that we had to chant the real name and not the shadow of the name. Let me ask you now, have you achieved what you most deeply desire in your spiritual life? What is your plan to get there? How long can you go on tasting shadow spiritual experience? 1 year more? 2 year more? 3 year more? It is a serious issue. But personally, I have spent a lot of my life in shadow chanting and I'm still falling into that trap. When I look around, I see many devotees who are not yet spiritually satisfied because they too are experiencing only the shadow of spiritual life. They attain a semblance semblance, they attain a semblance, a look-alike, meaning a look-alike, but not the real thing. It is for this reason we are not as spiritually strong as we would wish to be. I think the answers to the problems has been revealed pretty clearly over here in this particular section. Why we are not progressing in Krishna consciousness, why we are running behind many, many desires and still wanting to satisfy many, many other things. It's all simply because though we may be chanting 16 rounds, the problem is we are on the shadow, not on the real. So therefore, Maharaj is emphasizing here, it is important signal we often miss and must urgently pay attention to this to have the Sambandha Jnana, have this understanding, the relationship that we have with Krishna. And in that consciousness, we chant Krishna's name. Otherwise, we get sidetracked and we may be chanting for 30 years, 20 years, 50 years throughout our life, but we'll not get the taste of chanting. Rather, we'll be only on the shadow level, not experiencing what Krishna consciousness is. We have a few more minutes. We can go with another section here. Lost relationship. Do you have strong friendship? By this, I mean people close to your heart, who are with you through good and bad times, people with whom your life is rightly bound. Will these relationships endure at your deathbed and beyond? Excuse me. There's only one person who is tightly bound to us beyond the barrier of death. He has always been with us, even before this life. He is a friend who knows the content of our heart, and yet we have somehow managed to forget him. We have, we have inconceivably lost our most important relationship. Of course, in the ultimate sense, this relationship can never be lost. We only lose our consciousness of it. We are always a part of Krishna, for we are souls and the soul is part of God. But we have to awaken from our forgetfulness to fully benefit from that one relationship. In the Second World War, family members from countries like Poland and Romania were torn apart. Years after the war, they again found each other. Imagine the moving scene when a son was reunited with his old parents. How must, how must, how must we have felt? How must he have felt? In some cases, people were infant when they were separated from their families, but nevertheless, they felt a deep bond when they met as adults. Their natural relationship started to blossom as soon as they were active in those relationships, talking to each other, eating, and working together as a family. Just as these inactive relationships were revived instantaneously, our relationship with Krishna can be reactivated the moment we turn to Him. For example, when we go on a pilgrimage to a holy name such as Vrindavan, the home of Radha and Krishna, transcendental feelings of love awaken just by visiting them at home. In Vrindavana or Mayapur, the later is home of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. That is, Mayapur is home of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. One can engage in chanting or other devotional practices and especially feel Krishna is here and I have a substantial relationship with him. No one has to tell you about it. It comes naturally. Lastly, Srila Prabhupada writes in the Nectar of Devotion, the places in the 84 square mile distant district of Mathura are so beautifully situated on the banks of the Yamuna that anyone who goes there will never want to return to this material world. So Maharaj is encouraging that we go to Yatra, we go to these holy places to revive ourselves, the lost relationship that we have with Krishna. So we'll end there and we'll continue again reading tomorrow. Thank you. Hare Krishna. You all have a wonderful rest of the day. Chant and be happy. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare